Let's go.
You're listening to Making Data Simple, where we make the world of data effortless, relevant, and yes, even fun.
Hey, podcast listeners, welcome back. I thank you as always. I have Satya Krishnaswamy with me today. He is the Director of Hybrid Data Management Development here at IBM. So a lot of times I do a lot of startups, external folks from IBM. I'm certainly at IBM, but every so often I got to bring people from IBM that I think are game changers. Satya is one of those. I've known Satya for quite a while. He and I work together in Kansas City. Now I work out of New York. He works in California. We went the complete opposite coasts. That's all right. You stayed in development. I'm in sales. I'm one of those sales guys you bitch about now, but that's okay. That's part of the thing. He was asking me if I'm going to come back to development. Maybe someday. I used to have DB2 development that we're going to talk about today. But welcome, man. I'm glad to see you. Haven't seen you in a while.
Thanks, Al. Great to be here. I do miss the Kansas City for sure. We came a long way. You in New York now, and I'm in California. It's great to be back.
When did you move to California? What year was that?
2019.
2019. So the Chiefs just started getting good, right? Is it because you left? I'm not sure.
I know this is coming.
Well, that's good. So but you've been down there to 2019. You've been down there a while there, man.
It's been quite a journey. Definitely I've learned quite a bit being in the Bay Area. That's for sure. Yeah. And to your point, 2019 is when Chiefs started doing great things. And I know we missed the playoffs this year, which I'm sure.
Yeah, that's not good. That's abnormal, man. Something's wrong. You know what? See, I grew up in Kansas City my whole life. And I don't apologize for Kansas City winning. Some people are getting sick of them, right? I went my whole life. I never thought we were going to make it to a Super Bowl, ever. Bring it on. I'll take 5 more. That's fine by me.
I think we're going to get 5 more for sure, because we went to 7 championships. We went to 5 Super Bowl and won 3. Fantastic.
Yeah, we need to do more, though. Winning is the disease. It's a good one. We need to keep doing it. Since we're already on topic here, why don't you introduce yourself? Give us a little bit of your background and how you ended up where you are today, leading DB2.
So thanks all. Again, great to be here. I lead engineering for DB2 and it is a queue replication and whatnot. So I own the core database engine teams, and I'm also deeply involved in the client adoption, making sure what we build actually lands and gets used in production. And I've been with IBM for the last 17 years. I moved out of Kansas City in 2019 to Bay Area. Great to be here. Great city. And thanks again for having me.
No problem, man. Look, I know you're one of the smartest people I know. We've known each other for a long time. I think you're very, very subtle in introducing yourself, but that's all good. Look, we have released DB2 AI edition, which got me thinking about it. I'm a database guy at my core. It's where I started my career. I have all the technologies right now, but database is just close to my heart because that's where I started and I was acquired when I went to IBM. And look, DB2, for those of you who don't know, it's IBM's database. Mainframe database, I think, was born in 1983, if you can believe that. That outdates me by a long way. DB2 for distributed was, I think, 1993, though there were some precursors prior to that. We just made a massive claim on an autonomous database, or DB2 AI. I think that came out in March 2026. I'll let you correct anything that I say that's off. Which has several features around AI.
We call it Genius Hub, which is part of the DB2 AI edition that we launched, and the underlying, which is DB2 V12.
We have several meetings internal to IBM on technology. I happen to be part of those meetings. And we were talking about this and the new release and the first autonomous database for the agentic era. Mm-hmm. So I thought, selfishly, I wanted to talk to Satya in this topic. And I thought, man, I'd want to bring you on and ask a few questions. So Satya, right before this call, I pinged Satya and I said, hey, you got any questions? And he sends me this load of questions. You know what I'm going to do with those questions, man? Look. See, look, nobody sends questions by paper anymore anyway. But the point being is, man, I'll do my best, but you know me, I'll just ask questions as they come to me. That's Absolutely. The fun of it. It keeps you on your toes, right? So that's just who I am. But anyway, here's what I got when we were talking previously about autonomous database.
Mhm.
And I'll ask you several questions, and maybe I'll even include a couple of yours too. Who knows? But I know that this is what I saw in statistics. 85% of database administrators' time is dominated by activity that delivers little competitive advantage. If you break that down, it's like 35% of the time is spent on activities like performance monitoring, database optimization. I think 30% of it was maintenance, security, access control, and then 20% on high availability disaster recovery. I know the thought within this release is to leverage agentic AI to completely transform the DB2 DBA, database administrator experience. With that, tell me this. This is the first simple question I'm going to ask, and that is it real? What's your response to, is it real?
Fair question. And I would have asked the same thing if I were on the other side of the mic. So let me get to some basics. So most of what gets called AI for databases today is exactly what you're suspicious of. It's a chatbot in front of a database. You ask a question, it generates SQL, done. That's not AI for database. So that's AI adjacent to database. So what we built is completely different. We started with a problem. So the DBAs, the experts who actually run these systems, started doing different jobs or retiring. They're taking decades of institutional knowledge with them. So how do you capture that knowledge and make it executable? So that's what Db2 Genius Hub does. And we also introduce some of the great technologies, like, we call it our secret sauce. We call it SMAP, Smart Agent Protocol, where it converts your expert DBA judgment into completely something an AI agent can actually act, not just answer questions, act on it. So that's what we built, and we have released around 15 agents as part of our first release on March 5th this year, and we are going into the autonomous level, which I'll explain in the coming discussion. We're starting at level 2, but we're taking all the way up to level 5 in the coming days.
Let me pause for that. Let me take a step back. What do you see? You're a database guy too. What's the state of the database industry right now, if you were to just characterize it?
To be honest, it is a little fascinating. At the same time, it is a little chaotic. We have got this massive wave of AI hype hitting an industry that's almost there, to your point, since 1983, almost around like 50, 40 years, right? Everyone is trying to scramble an answer. Does AI make my database obsolete, or does it make it better? So my view is definitely on the later part, but only if you do it right. The enterprises that we know that are running, the banks, the insurance companies, the railroads, they all rely on relational database. So that's not going anywhere. But what's changing right now is how you manage those databases. And that's where the real disruption is happening.
Is it good to be a DBA right now, or should DBAs be worried?
I want to be very direct on that. So we're not in the business of eliminating expertise, database expertise. We're in the business of amplifying it. So think of it as, where your DBA is not babysitting the routine operations at 2 a.m. that happens. We're looking at they can be more amplified with doing architecture discussions, bringing in newer workloads, doing strategy. They're making things that actually require like human judgment. Like, from a business context standpoint, when you see it, things an agent shouldn't be deciding alone. Yeah, the DBA, the DBA, the human in the loop will be there. So the DBA shortage, to answer your question, isn't going either. It's not going either way. There's more database complexity that we're dealing with in the world right now. So, and it's growing year by year. And what we are doing is closing the gap between the complexity enterprises are facing today and the expert capacity they actually have. So I look at this as not a replacement, that's a leverage and amplification of the existing DBAs.
So you said there were something like 14 agents?
15 agents released.
15 agents. So is this around, I would presume it's got us around agentic maintenance, healing, operations, but you tell me, what are the features? What are the agents? What do they surround?
So let me actually start with an example, and then I go into the capabilities, right? Okay. Let me give you a real scenario. So let's say a DBA gets paged at 2 a.m. in the morning saying that, hey, the queries are slow, users are complaining, nobody knows why. And today that person has to log in and they have to pull the telemetry, cross-reference any configuration values, dig through the logs. We have done this, to form a hypothesis. That can take hours sometimes. But with Genius Hub, we send an alert, not just alert, it's an anomaly detection saying that, hey, this situation happened. And it also gives you the root cause analysis. And you just click on it and go through it, like, hey, what is happening with my system? Like, what is the performance situation right now? It will pull, like, along with the root cause analysis that it has already done, it will pull the live telemetry, the CPU, like, the active queries, any log contention, memory pressure, like all of the transaction log status, the health of the system, and it will give you the complete root cause analysis, where you can have an actionable recommendation in minutes. So
is this like a new console or something that you log into? How does that work?
It is a new console that you log into.
Okay.
And we call it Genius Hub from DB2.
And it gives you this dashboard you're referencing?
Yes, that is correct. And it doesn't matter, like, where your database is, whether it is cloud, on premise, like, it's a single pane of glass, like where you can manage the DB2 database fleet.
But you said 15 agents, so what are all these agents doing on top of
it? Every agent has a different use case. So one is for, in the three pillars that you mentioned, the healing, maintenance, and operations. So we have around, like, 3 to 5 agents that sits in each pillar. Like, for example, anomaly detection is like one of the agents that it will do. We do have support agent, which will take care of if you're still not able to get to the root cause, like, that we needed to, it will start opening, all the support ticket information, capturing the information that it has gone through it, like, while having that conversation with you. And we have performance. We also have the drill down analysis, which is one of the beautiful things. Imagine, let me explain. This is a beautiful story that we have. So let's say if you're like, we have text to SQL agent as well. So that's what I meant. So let's say you are wanting to generate a new query through natural language, and you generated the query. All you ask is, like, hey, generate this query for me, joining these two tables, these columns, and things of that nature. Then it generates a query for you, which you think it is not optimal. It can be perform better. You take that query and you put that in our AI optimization that we have built. Like, that's another agent, and it will tell you complete drill down analysis. What I meant by that is, if you execute whatever the recommendations that we have given, how it will impact the existing workloads by doing those changes, it will give you the entire picture, like, how it can impact the next set of workloads by doing those changes. It will give you a complete drill down analysis. So imagine you're taking from a natural language to a complete autonomous AI optimization that is inbuilt within this agent, within the framework that we have built. And imagine, like, this could have taken probably 6 hours, 7 hours, like, if you're doing without the agents that we have built. And now this is done within less than 15 to 20 minutes.
Just to make sure I'm clear, you're saying, like, I could say in natural language, I could say, why is the payroll query running slow today? And it'll break that down.
Yep, 100%.
100% or 90%? All right, 100%. But so look, this is where I say, like, I'm off the rails when it comes to asking questions. I just go with what comes to mind. Look, and I'm not here to sell anything, even though I'm at IBM as well. I'm here to learn about technology and spread technology, and hopefully IBM sells a lot of technology, because that's where I tend to be. But so Oracle's had the idea of autonomous for several years, if we're being fair. I know we're calling it the agentic era. So what's the fundamental difference between a database that's self-driving and one that is agentic?
Beautiful question. I go with 2 keywords on this one: scope and honesty. Oracle's autonomous story is largely about the specific cloud service on their infrastructure, the way you see it. And ours is about managing your existing DB2 environments wherever they're on, with a framework that is very transparent where we are with our journey. As I said, like, we publish all the levels. We show the metrics at each stage. We're not saying, like, we're already there at level 5, like, fully autonomous with 90%.
Explain the levels, if you would, because I want to be clear on the levels too. But keep
Absolutely.
going.
So we got this in 5 levels. So, like, the autonomy levels for self-driving cars, but in our case, it is databases. So level 1 is where most of the market is today: intelligent monitoring, dashboards, alerts, some basic ML. You get about probably 15% reduction in management costs, 10% in manual intervention. Useful, but not transformational. Level 2 which is where, like, our Genius Hub is right now. We launched this on March 5th. Bounded automation, where AI agents can execute tasks with a human in the loop, where human is always in the driver's seat. So we're already seeing, for level 2, 25% of cost reduction, 30% less in manual intervention, and probably 35% times to resolution. So these are real numbers based on what we are seeing in the field. These are the 2 levels. So the level 3 is the adaptive operations, so agents that can operate autonomously under predefined conditions, supervised still by a human. And we're targeting that for June release this year. And at that point, you're looking at 50% reduction in management costs, 50% reduction in manual intervention. And level 4 is the second half, like is what we're targeting this year, is the orchestrated autonomy. So agents managing a much broader range of operations with limited human interaction. We're looking at 70% across the board. And level 5, which is where the autonomy that we want to get to, we're looking at the first half of 2027, full autonomy, where nearly all environments, like all conditions, we're looking at 95% reduction in management costs, 90% in the faster time to resolution. That's a destination that we're targeting. We're executing against it, like, milestone by milestone.
And where'd you say we were today?
Level 2.
And how does that rate up to the competition? What's going on in the industry right now?
So the industry, as I said, most of them are at level 1 at this moment.
Even Oracle's at level 1?
Yeah.
And you mentioned human in the loop. One thing that occurs to me here is you talk about the Genius Hub, and I know that we and it emphasizes governed autonomy, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like jumbo shrimp. It doesn't make much sense, right? In what scenarios should AI take action automatically, truly autonomously? And where do you think human DBAs, by example, should continue to be in the loop and click approve?
I know it gets to the question where I'm assuming, like, you're asking, are you comfortable with agents taking over the decisions for you?
I mean, we talk about human in the loop, but then it takes a little bit away from the autonomy. So where does the human get in the loop?
Let me give my analogy, like how we want to take it. Right? So, again, coming back to the level of frameworks, we don't want our customers going from 0 to autonomous overnight. So we're at level 2, as I said. The human is still in the driver's seat. Where, to your question, so the way when we start giving recommendations, the agent takes action, anomaly, it finds an anomaly and it gives recommendation. These are the the actions that it needs to take. Do you approve? That's when human comes in the loop and we just say yes. That's one. And the analogy that I want to bring to is the agent recommends, explains it through reasoning and waits for approval, but you build trust over time. The way we were trying to do is, after a certain number of times, you see an agent get it right hundreds of times before you start expanding it to autonomy envelope. So it's the same way you onboard a new DBA. You don't hand them the keys to production on day one, right? You watch them work, you verify their judgment, and you extend your trust incrementally. So we just made the process more systematic and more measurable with our levels approach here. And we still wanted to keep, we also were trying to have a question say, hey, do you want to take care of this action next time it happens? So once we slowly start building the trust, and all you need to say is yes for these kind of operations, it will start taking actions on your behalf when we start getting to level 3, level 4, level 5.
I've done a lot of database development in my career. And while I can say I haven't been, quote unquote, a DBA, I feel like I have because I've worked with DBAs. That's what I did. One of the biggest pain points for DBAs is alert fatigue, false alarms. I don't know what you want to call it. How would the Genius Hub distinguish between a harmless spike, by example, in traffic, and a critical performance bottleneck that needs immediate attention?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So that's where, with the way we have built this, our anomaly detection is going to be a biggest one, and it can vary from different use cases, right? One could be CPU spike, one could be storage issue, one could be some performance bottleneck or workload queuing. There's a lot of things that can happen that can actually bring your system down or slow your system down. So anomaly detection is one thing that we're saying, but it can cover a wide range of use cases. So it is an automated alert that alerts you. So we're trying to build on most level of automation where it can alert your phone, email, and also on the console, because sometimes you can't be logged in to the console all the time. So we build that anomaly detection in a way where it alerts. The beauty of this is it's not just an alert where it sends. By the time it sends you an alert, it found that anomaly. It gives you the entire end-to-end root cause, what happened, why it happened, what are the things that you need to do. And we keep it so simple because it remembers the context that is happening within the system, within the workloads, within your environment. It gives you tailored answers that is very specific to your environment. All you need to do is the agent will ask, like, do you approve, like, my recommendation? And you can still have a conversational with that agent at that time, saying that, hey, I want to do more analysis. Say, give me, like, what changed. For example, okay, you gave me this recommendation. What changed in the last 24 hours, that made the system go into this bad state?
In my history, and you and I did support together some time back, I think, and it's like every call you ever get, quote unquote, nothing changes. We all know something changed. Something changed. So, but I'd be curious if AI can really figure that out. Are you seeing that? I mean, I got to believe it struggles just like a human in many cases, but how does it differ in determining what changed? Because that's the key question, always the silver bullet.
100% agree. Cannot agree more with you. What we found in our use cases were working with the customers. Like, we injected some of the scenarios, like, where we have seen it, like, customer spikes and whatnot. And some of the situations where we have seen in our POCs is the customers have changed some configurations, and they, we have to trust our customers all the time, when they say, like, they haven't changed anything. But when we have built tools within our ecosystem, within our agentic framework in such a way, it will find what's changed in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, depending upon the context that we built in. And it will clearly tell you.
You're going to bring that up and you're going to go, liar. That's going to make our customers happy.
Yeah, so some of the use cases, like especially for WLM queuing and whatnot, we have built. The what change analysis is one of the key agents that we have delivered. It will tell you what changed exactly in the last 24 to 48 hours, and there's clear evidence, like, something changed, like, that is causing the spike.
Most of these DBAs are managing like numerous systems, dozens and dozens of databases. The autonomy is certainly attractive, but that's one thing that's problem with human in the loop. You still have to go and kind of make sure you got your eyes on it. You can't just hit something and then watch the database go down and you didn't recognize, I just approved that. So you got to do your homework. How is it making managing, the bottom line is how is it making managing multiple database more
that's the Genius Hub comes into play, like, with the scale it can operate. It's, the single pane of glass view, like, where doesn't matter where your database sits, for example, whether you're running it on cloud, on-prem, everything is in one view. Without the Genius Hub at this moment, like, let's say if you're managing like 100 databases, you're looking at like 100 databases in different broken tools and whatnot. But with this, like, you will have the single view. And if there is something happening with that database at that moment, of course, like, you will be alerted right away. And to the journey that we discussed earlier, like the moment you start seeing those particular tasks, repetitive tasks, these operations where the routine operations and whatnot, you can start, once you start as a DBA, once you start getting the confidence, you can just enable it. It was like where agent takes care of it in the future occurrences. So that's how you slowly build into the autonomy story.
Well, I know that this is an advancement for existing DB2 clients. By the way, how do existing DB2 clients get this? They just
have to get the DB2 AI edition. We do have two options at this moment: the advanced and the standard. And when you purchase the DB2 AI edition, it comes with the Genius Hub. And depending upon where you want to have your inferencing endpoint, whether it is on premise, like, on secure firewalls, like, we do support from day one on March 5th, and you can still have the watsonx AI or AWS Bedrock at this moment as the inferencing endpoints. If you want to have the cloud endpoints where you can't have your own GPU farms or the AI accelerators like the AMD or the Intel. And we're also adding the Vertex AI and Azure Foundry in Q2 itself. So AI
so do you have to have any more resource, more resource power, GPU, any?
So we have, so what we have done is, the level of testing and the models that we have done is like quite significant, and we landed on Granite 4 to begin with. And of course, and we also have tested with the low end to high end GPUs and also the AI accelerators, for example, AMD and Intel that we're partnering with. If you're an existing farm, like, if you have have an existing AI GPU farm, we can leverage that depending upon, like, what accelerators that you have. And the footprint is very, very small if you want to keep it, like, on-prem air-gapped environment. But for if you don't have a GPU farm, or if you're not investing into that space, we do offer the cloud inferencing endpoints. And between AWS, IBM, GCP, and Azure, we have pretty much all endpoints at this moment.
So there is, in fairness, a little bit of an investment likely on the compute side to make this work, or no?
That is correct.
All right, so I got it. It's fair. You get more advancements, but you got to have compute for inferencing. Is there any difference between the enterprise and standard releases in terms of the agentic offering?
You mean the AI editions that we have?
Yes.
Yeah, so we do have some major differences. So the way I see it, the thing I need to tell you about the infusion of AI, right? So the way we look at it is AI within the engine and AI outside the engine. So the tooling that we are creating, which is making your database more prominent, is the Genius Hub, where it gives you the DBA expertise at your fingertips. There's also the things that we have built within the engine, DB2 as a vector store, AI optimizer, the query rewrites. There are inbuilt capabilities that we provide within the engine as well. So there are some differences what you can get from the standard and advanced edition. But for both in general, for both AI editions, there might be subtle differences in engine offerings, but the Genius Hub is pretty much common across.
Where does DB2 AI fit for a company that isn't already blue, meaning you're not already an IBM shop?
I think several engine capabilities. I think that is attracting the newer workloads is how I see it, Al. So, for example, when you look at the infusion of AI within the engine, so now DB2, for example, the developer persona is also increasing quite big, right? Everyone wants to have the databases for agentic use cases and whatnot, or bringing in AI workloads. So the way I look at DB2 supports DB as a vector store. So that means you don't have to have a vector store outside of your traditional database. That's one. And we have inbuilt ML models, very small inbuilt ML models that will help your AI optimization. That's two. And we also built the connectors. So the LangChain connectors and the Llama Index connectors, where you can start creating embeddings and start bringing your AI workloads. So it is not just a traditional database that it works for traditional SQL and whatnot. We have opened it up for the AI workloads, bringing in newer workloads. And what's fascinating is DB2 is also going serverless. That is coming in June of this year.
What does that mean? Say more on that.
So DB2 serverless, meaning you can pay for what you use for, where it is a decouple of a compute and storage, where we're headed towards. And when you buy DB2 farm, when you buy DB2, you have to also have certain level of infrastructure, right? So now with this, you can decouple and only pay for what you use, and it can also bring an entry point for your AI workloads. That is our major play that we're looking at with all these capabilities, engine capabilities that we have built. Our end goal by end of the year and beyond, we're looking at complete decoupling of storage and compute. So that's where we're headed.
No, I'm coming back to the thought of full autonomy versus, collaborative autonomy. We tend to push for human in the loop. It's one of our core principles. Collaborative autonomy. So the AI acts as a high-level assistant. Where do you think the line of distinction resides there? I think it is important to have a human in the loop. Most people, I think, particularly DBAs probably listen, would certainly agree. But which areas do you say, hey, this can and should be fully autonomous?
Like the routine operations, where the maintenance operations, some of the where you run traditional, backup and recovery, for example, you can automate that. All you need to do is do a offline backup at so and so time, and I'm done with it. Instead of you running the scripts, logging in, running those scripts. So these kind of routine operations can be fully autonomous, and there are and even, for example, a CPU spike situation happened, for example, and the agentic story helped you resolve the issue, where it asked you for approval for to do this change and whatnot, and it happened multiple times. You build trust over time, and for the fifth or sixth time, all you can say is don't ask me next time. You take care of this situation when it happens again. So that's how we're trying to.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how we're trying to case by case, build the trust within the system, within the DBAs, so that they can start accepting the answers, accepting, building the trust with the agentic ecosystem that we built so that they don't have to worry about those kind of situations when it happens again. And it's fully autonomous.
I think you just answered my next question, because I was like, how do you get an enterprise comfortable with AI, an agent taking actions autonomously on something that's increasingly critical? In other words, you start out slow, but you're just saying, look, you give them the power to turn it down, to watch everything, and then over time, after you click yes like 500 times, you finally say, maybe I can go ahead and give this the power to continue.
Yeah.
Is this like War Games? I don't know if you've ever seen the movie War Games. Eventually, someday, maybe he gets tired and bored and wants to create some havoc, decides, hey, we're just going to delete this database.
We have seen that. We have seen that happen, Al, and it is a fair question, right? And what we have built, the way that we have put the guardrails in our ecosystem, in our frameworks, I'm actually very super proud in terms of how we build this evaluation framework. And to be fair, we even consulted several startups in the Bay Area, asking and picking up different use cases, how they build the ecosystem, especially the evaluation framework. And we do it in two ways. So one is reference-based evaluation and reference-free evaluation. What I mean by that is, so we know what needs to happen for this particular use case, or for this particular question, or for this particular flow. So we tell them, hey, this is what needs to be done. And that's how we do our agent evaluation internally from a testing standpoint. What we also want to do is hey, what if the agent goes rogue? So we want to have a reference-free, where what we have done is we built our own internal agent within our QA evaluation framework. And what it does is it wakes up every 24 hours and just it picks a document or there's some documentation out of the 150K documentation that we built in our Elastic RAG database. And it just starts going in a loop, asking questions. Mm-hmm. And if it does not get past, the overall score is 75% from our evaluation, it just takes, hey, this is defect, this needs to be fixed. And it just automatically opens a defect and sends it to the developer who wrote it, and they have to fix it the next day. That's how we built reference free, where an agent, the QA agent, actually goes rogue.
That's interesting. People go rogue all the time. I got to tell you the story. When I first started, way back early in my career, actually, I went from development to support, which I think people, even at the time, some people were questioning, why would you go to development to support? Because I learned more in support and became a better developer than I ever could have without support. Because you get to see, it's like one thing right after another. You get to see so many different things. It's coming at you fast and furious. People are upset. You learn so much things. So I have full respect for those in support. It was the best training ground that I ever had. I was in advanced support mode. And this client calls me and says, I just deleted my database. I need you to bring it back. I said, what do you mean you deleted your database? He says, I deleted my database. It's an accident. I said, how can it be an accident when you delete your database? It asks you 3 times. Are you sure you want to delete it? He goes, I know. But I was I was creating a bunch of dummy database for some tests, and then went over here and I deleted my database. Okay, you deleted the whole database. Well, customer, he didn't need me giving him a bunch of hell, but you deleted the whole database with all your customer material. Yeah, I'm going to get fired unless you help me. I said, look, let me see what I can do here. This is ridiculous. So I went back. This is not so funny, but I said, I'll call you back in 45 minutes. I call back in 45 minutes. And somebody else answers the phone. They say, yeah, this gentleman is no longer here with us anymore. I'm like, oh my God. All right. So I think your database has been deleted. We have to bring it back. Ultimately, what we had to do in that case, we had to send somebody on site. They were there for 2 weeks to go through all the pointers one by one. By definition, you're going to have some corruption, but we went through it one by one. So hopefully we won't have a rogue agent that does that, but people do it too. We give, as I said on my earlier podcast, it feels like we give AI a much harder time than we give people. Although that guy got fired, so maybe the agent would get fired too. I don't know. Anyway,
I think that's a great story. I mean, fun aside, but to your point, I cannot agree more. I've done support working with you very closely, and I think that's a great platform to be exposed to what our customers are doing, and everyone. I think I personally learned a lot, and it helped, how I can transform being in the development after coming from support.
If you're really great at support, look, those are the people I look for and I try to hire. So it's a great springboard for, I mean, you're a perfect example of that in terms of, taking what you've learned. So fantastic, man. Look, what does the roadmap look like? You mentioned this a little bit. Well, I guess, first easy question is, when are we going to hit, we're at 2, where are we going to go 3, 4, and 5? And when will we be at 5 again? Did you say 2027 or
Yeah. So we are looking at, so level 2, as I said, that level we have already launched on March 5th. We're targeting level 3 to be in June, end of the year, level 4, and first half of next year, level 5 is where we're targeting overall. This is, and we have several other capabilities that we're trying to introduce. For example, we're trying to bring in the MCP layer story, where we want to give, expose some of our tools that we have built to our customers so that they can bring their own agents that they are already using, because everyone is doing agents these days. So we want to give the tools that we have built through an MCP. So that's coming in June as well. And we are completely transforming our SaaS footprint, where we will have console as a service with Genius Hub for all of the SaaS offerings starting May. So that's a major launch that we're doing in the next 30 days. And overall, as I said, we are trying to build the agents, across covering multiple different agent use cases, covering those 3 pillars: the maintenance, operations, anomaly detection and whatnot. So we have a lot that's coming up in the second half. I'm truly excited. But to be honest, I also want to keep some breathing space for the evolving market. So what I meant by that is, things are changing every day. Every day we have a new story. So I really want to keep it with a client-driven development hat, where, hey, if the client wants something different, we want to be open to it and flexible to it, so that we are also keeping that development space to build what is required for the clients. And at the same time, some space to, hey, the ever-changing technology, how do we adopt and be, instead of being reactive, we are being proactive in terms of adopting the new technology, versus we doing after 2 years and being behind. So we're trying to do development in a different way this time. And I'm super proud of how the teams are rallying around in terms of going to the next level. But I think the most proudest moment is this is a transformational release that we had in the longest time, and super proud to be part of the DB2 organization.
I got to ask you a couple more. Outside of AI, what are some of the largest innovations that you're excited about?
Oh, you mean within DB2 or?
Yeah, well, DB2 database. I'm just talking database.
So the way we have envisioned our internal teams is 3 factors, I would say. One is the deployment angle. I'm sure you heard about the bring your own cloud deployment model that we are very proud of. So DB2 is available on Azure with a BIOC model, bring your own cloud deployment model. So that's one of the innovations that we have launched. And from an engine standpoint, we have definitely put in DB2 as a vector store, AI optimizer, trying to bring in new AI workloads, the LangChain connectors and the Llama Index connectors. We're super proud of that. And the second pillar is, which I just talked about, the AI infusion. And the third and final pillar that we are focused on is the tooling. We're super proud of what we have built in the last 12 to 24 months in terms of tooling. We built tools like Db2 Bridge, where you can modernize your on-premise environments, or even trying to bring customers who want to modernize from Oracle or Teradata to Db2, which is the hot thing in the market right now with Db2. We have Db2 Bridge tooling that will help you seamless migration of and modernization, going from different platforms and coming into Db2. That's one. And the third is obviously the Genius Hub, it falls in the tooling category. We are super proud of. So the 3 layers, where we are going in 3 different streams to make sure infusion of AI within the engine, outside the engine, tooling, helping modernize our clients, and also the agentic stories.
Is there a challenge you would give to our clients to essentially prove your points here? Here's what I mean. There's a lot of database vendors out there that say they're autonomous or they're using AI or otherwise. You're saying, hey, look, we're level 2. We're going to be level 5 here shortly. Amazing stuff that's coming on. But I'm sure that, there's customers out there listening yeah, but everybody's telling me this. How do I know? How do I know who's telling the truth? Is there a test that you would give them and say, look, do this?
No, that's a great question. And we actually did some blind evaluations, Al. So what we have done is, so let me talk about the technology first. Then we
Okay.
go into the blind evaluation. So what we have built is we built something called SMAP, Smart Agent Protocol, which is only available in Genius Hub. So what we meant by that is, so we have institutional knowledge of our SMEs and the experts that are been there for like 20 years and whatnot. So we took that knowledge, we took that workflows, and what we did is we started creating a consolidated documentation around it. And for every workflow or for every use case, combining this expertise, we built proprietary new documentation that is only available through Genius Hub. And what we did with this documentation is we infused that, we ingested chunking and ingested all this documentation into our Elastic, which is what we use for RAG patterns within our database, like that agents follow. And that is our secret sauce, right? And every agent uses these maps internally that we have built. So this proprietary knowledge that we have built with our SMAP technology, Smart Agent Protocol, is not going to be available publicly, or when you look at ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini,
Mhm.
because they won't have the context that we have built that is very specific and tailored to the customer's environment. So coming to the blind test, what we have done is we ask the same questions, we ask the same use cases across ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and our Genius Hub. And we gave all these results to the SMEs, and even our clients did the evaluation for us. And unanimous, everyone selected the answer that we provided.
But is
Because
there a test that we could give the clients that are just listening that haven't done that or weren't
yes,
solicited?
absolutely. I'm actually super proud. Like, and we have already done these tests with some of our clients. The results have been fantastic and unanimous. We can definitely give that. That is actually one of our plays that every customer demo that we do these days, that is one of our.
So they'd have to reach out for us for a demo or something. Essentially,
Absolutely.
that's your suggestion.
Absolutely.
Where can folks reach you? Speaking of,
Definitely. LinkedIn. I think probably, I don't know if I can give my email address here.
no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. Let's stick with LinkedIn. All right. So reach LinkedIn. Where do they go if they want to get that demo? That's where
So just reach out to me through LinkedIn, and we will get hooked up with our client engagement team.
sounds good. What are you doing for fun these days, man?
That's a loaded question.
No, it's not. Are you doing something nefarious or what?
Yeah. No, I think I used to do a lot of fun activities when I was in Kansas City.
Yes. No fun
I just-
anymore? Is it no fun league out there?
It's too expensive in being in Bay Area. But that being said, I do miss Kansas City. I still play cricket, and I still have my friends where we do play poker sometimes. So and then of course
Nice.
there's a lot of outdoor activities that you can do being in the Bay Area. So I think every weekend there's some activity with kids.
You play cricket on the IBM field that's close to the Silicon Valley Lab?
Yeah.
I'll have to play you sometime. You have to teach me. That's what I need. Hey, man, thank you for being here. I noticed as we went along, I mean, we could keep going now. It's really starting to hum.
More than an hour discussing this.
Yeah, see, I didn't think it was going to be that long either, but that's what happens. That's what happens. Thank you, Satya, for being here. And listeners, thank you for being here. It is on Al Martin Talks Data. You hear me say this every week, but on almartintalksdata@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time on the podcast. See you guys.
Thank you, Al. Thank you for having me.